So good morning and welcome and happy week of Thanksgiving. I've mentioned it before and I'll say it again. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It's like in the air we can feel something quicken. It's almost like we can feel that spark of creation present. Am I the only one? Can you feel it? Good. I'm not by myself. Yay, that's great. I was going to say maybe it's a manic phase, but I guess not. So I thank you for being a part of my world and a part of this community this morning, a part of all that is shining and bright and good about our world. So as we often do here at Open Door Center, I'm going to start with something fun or funny. This truck driver was driving down the road and this blonde was in a car behind him. Blonde, you get it? Okay. So she's blonde and he's driving his truck and they come to a red light and she jumps out of her car and she races forward. She knocks on his window and she says, Mr. Trucker, you're losing some of your load at the back of your truck. And he just looks at her, the light turns green and he takes off. Okay. She jumps back in her vehicle. She is undaunted. He keeps losing stuff out of the back of his truck. She goes after him. Next red light, she does the same thing. He's sitting there. She jumps out of the car, runs forward, bangs on his window and says, Mr. Trucker, you're still losing stuff out of the back of your truck. You need to take a look at this. And he just looks at her. The light turns green. He takes off and she's left standing there. She's not, she's just still not, to be deterred. So at the next red light, she pulls over into the left-hand lane. She rolls down her window. She starts banging on her horns. Mr. Trucker, you're losing stuff out the back of your truck. He just looks at her for a minute. He says, lady, this is Michigan. It's winter, and I'm the salt truck. Okay then, so, get with it. It's like, it's almost time for salt trucks. And I am so freaking glad we're not there yet. Okay? Yeah, so we are moving into... Huh?
There's snow on the mountaintops this morning.
There's snow on the mountaintops. Jesus, I'm so glad I did not see that. Okay? But I'm so glad that you did see it. I'm so glad that snow fell where it fell and not on my head. Okay? Yeah, not here. So I'm just not quite ready for that part of it yet. It's one thing to have the heat come on, but it's another thing to get up and have to figure out if I can get down my ski lift of a driveway. So who's the one who can't get here on Sundays? Me. Okay, everybody else manages too. So, well, we're rolling rapidly into Thanksgiving week. Are you ready? Do you have your food all fixed? You know what you're going to do? No, I got a turkey. It's still in the freezer down here at the center. I haven't even taken him home yet, her home, whatever it was. So, but I am going to go shopping when I leave here today for our Wednesday evening celebration. So yeah, I know what I'm gonna fix. I'm really excited. So realistically, come on down about 5:15. We'll be here setting up. We'll eat at 6 and we'll have a grand time. It's always just a wonderful time to celebrate and be excited and share our connection, So it is November. It's getting on into November. And November is the month that my friend John Waterhouse over in Asheville refers to as Gratitude Month. It is not to be mistaken with what he refers to as Jesus Month, which is next month. Okay? So, which I always used to, when he would say that on Sundays, I would just fall on the floor thinking, how irreverent can a reverend be? Okay? But, it is Jesus Month. It's about 31.4% of the entire global population that is Christian. So, it's a pretty big number of folks out there, okay? But it is a time of year to focus on gratitude, and that's what we're going to do this morning. That's what the focus on my talk is. I know you're probably not too surprised by that, given that I have to sneak it in somehow a couple of times a year, and this is one of the better times to do it. It might be a hard stretch for some of us to think about gratitude. I don't know about you all, but I've just about completely stopped paying attention to Facebook because it's all either about what happened in Paris or the Syrian refugees, and I'm so tired. I am just so tired of seeing the pain in the world. Do you guys get there? Do you turn on the news and go, I can't watch this crap anymore? Excuse me, there are no children present, but we'll edit that little word out. But, we don't know. We don't know where the bombs are going to go off next. We don't know what's going to happen, next on the planet or what kind of buildings are going to get blown up. Friday afternoon, I was coming back. Where had I been? Oh, yeah, I had been in Waynesville for the office, and I came back kind of late, like late lunchtime, maybe 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and I heard a really strange siren that I had never heard before, and I thought, I wonder what that means. And like I would never know if they were saying, it's an air raid or something, you better go get in a, special kind of building or something, or get underground. Turned out they had found unstable dynamite in the old Jack the Dipper building on 107, right there where new 107 continues and old 107 starts. Right there was the original home of Jack the Dipper, the ice cream parlor, okay, that's now here in Sylva. And yet, guys, there's always some good stuff. Remember last week I mentioned that Fred Rogers, when he was a little boy, his mother would tell him, whenever he would see something distressing in the news or on TV, he would go to his mother and she would always say, "Son, just look for the helpers. Look for the good in the situation." And really, she was teaching him a very science of mind attitude to have, because that is our goal in everything in this teaching, is to look for the God within, to look for the God, the good in any kind of situation. And if we can see that, we literally begin to make some huge changes to things. The amazing thing that happened with that dynamite is that they were able to use robotic technology to explore it, to make sure that they could handle it in a way that was not going to cost any lives. It was unstable, and they did manage to get it out and take it to a safe place and detonate it. So it's a done deal. It's never going to bother anybody again. They have no idea how it got in that building or what the deal was. I know one of the former owners, and I just want to call her up and go, "What were you doing, honey?" She's like us, okay? She's like about as peaceful as she can get, But that is one of the things that we do. We literally encourage ourselves in every given situation to look for the God, to look for the good in a situation. And that's not an unusual concept. This week I was riding around the region, in my day job. About once a year I get to go out and see the classrooms that the program that I work with supports with funding. And so I've been going into little 4-year-old classrooms all week. You guys got to know, that's where the real life is. Okay, that's where the real party is. I walk in there with a briefcase and all this paperwork and junk hanging off me, and they come running up to me and go, "Hi, who are you? Oh my God, who are you? You look like Santa Claus." I don't look like Santa Claus. I look like some skinny old woman. What are you talking about? But they're full of themselves. They're so full of happiness and brightness and love. They're so in the moment. When they're not full of happiness and brightness and love, they're mad as all get out, or they're crying, or they're, having a bellyache, or they're doing whatever they're doing. But 30 seconds later, it's past, and nobody's the worse for it. As I was riding around, I had the pleasure of listening to some CDs that were put together, some talks that were authored by Chad O'Shea. And many of you know Chad, knew Chad. Chad has now been gone from the physical life for a couple of years, but he was the late, great minister at Unity of the Blue Ridge over south of Asheville. And he was telling a story on one of his CDs. It was a story about Oprah Winfrey. Many years before, when Oprah was young and in the TV business, she was actually fired for some jobs. I mean, she had some pretty, quote, negative kinds of experiences. And so the story goes is that somebody really doodled in her cornflakes. I mean, in like a big, explicit way. And so she called up her mentor and friend, who just happened to be Maya Angelou. And she was so upset that she was incoherent. Like, Maya couldn't even tell who she was, except that she probably figured it out, okay? Because knowing Oprah, she's a woman of, fine taste and drama, right? So explicitness. So Maya probably had this experience before. But she was spilling this stuff out between gasps and sobs and carrying on and they did it to me, and this is horrible, and my life will never be the same, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and it's all over now. And Maya just finally said, "Shut up! Shut up! Okay? Shut up and say thank you. Okay? Say thank you for this experience, because by saying thank you, you literally, employ the art of being grateful for the situation, for the growth and the significantness that it can be for you. You literally turn that situation inside out." And of course, I don't know the upshot of the story about Oprah. I do know that, I don't think there are too many people on the planet who just don't have a tremendous amount of admiration for her. She's brought an incredible amount of light into the world. She certainly has come out of many tough things herself, and so all of that, But Maya just let her have it. She wouldn't listen to the weeping and the wailing. She just said, get a handle on it, baby. Okay, get a handle on it, because you and you alone have the capacity to change what's going on here. Now, when I heard that and heard Chad relating that, I thought, well, that's kind of harsh, Before I came into this, I was, in the therapeutic world, and I always want to kind of say to somebody, it's okay, it's going to be okay, but take a deep breath, feel it, because a lot of times the way we move through things is to feel them, okay? And that's how we heal them, and we know that, okay? But, really, Maya got it. She got it. She got what Ernest Holmes teaches in Science of Mind and what we teach here at Open Door Center. And that is very simply illustrated by this piece from Earnest. And this comes from a little treasure called Can We Talk to God? Earnest says, we are chemists in the laboratory of the infinite. What then shall we create? Because he got it. That with how we think and how we feel and how we behave, we literally become alchemists. We literally chemically change the nature of the experience that we are having. Okay? And that is powerful. Eric Butterworth, many of you have heard me say this before. Eric just died in the 80s. He's not as dead as a lot of them. Eric Butterworth was a unity minister, and he made the statement in his book, Spiritual Economics, that gratitude is a causal energy. That means that it literally has the potential to alchemicalize, to change the nature of something, of an experience that we have. If we put gratitude, even in the smallest quotient, out there, we literally change the nature of what is coming back to us in every moment. And sometimes that is not easy to do. I used to say I would never be a morning person. I am afraid that I stopped saying that, and now I handle morning much better than I used to, which, part of me is a bit dismayed. I really liked all that kicking and fussing and, self-pity that I felt at 4:30 in the morning on Sundays, okay? Or 5:30 on a weekday, or 6 or 6:30, or whenever the cats manage to make their way in and, claw my eyes out enough to get me up. One of them chews my hair. It's really, I'm really like, really? He's the one who has hair my color, too. I don't know. What's that about? So, but I've tried to work with myself the last little while with this whole process and practice of gratitude, because I believe that whatever we are is what will come back to us. And so I got this idea, and I love this idea. It's not new. I'm sure many have had it before me, that you all do this in your own sacred and special ways. But I've tried to begin to anchor gratitude into physical habits. So every morning, you guys, let's put it this way. The girl would not be standing up straight if she didn't have her coffee. Every morning I have the coffee. Now, over the years, I've gotten to be a real snob. I have the special blend of coffee made the special way and sweetened a special way. And I don't run around and drink it while I'm taking a shower, eating breakfast, packing lunch, and feeding cats. I sit down and I drink it. Okay? But I've tried to anchor gratitude around having that cup of coffee and how awesome that tastes, and it's cool in the morning, so it tastes pretty good. It warms me up a little bit. I'm sitting there with the cat and the heating pad and the blanket and the big fluffy, but you're going to get to see the big fluffy bathrobe eventually, because it's going to be part of my crazy old Catwoman activity routine, okay, which hasn't made its way here yet, but she's coming soon. She just can't wait, okay. So just be on the lookout for someday something strange is going to happen, something more strange than usual is going to happen here. But as I'm having that coffee, I remember to say thank you just for the capacity that I have cells in my mouth that can even taste the gorgeousness of that first. There's nothing like that first cup of coffee, and I continue it. When I get in the shower, I go in, and it's cool in the house. The warm water comes down. I get in there, and I start warming up, and it's like, oh my God. This is really precious. And you guys, we can take it for granted, or we cannot. 783 billion people on this planet don't have access to clean water. I mean, when I looked that statistic up this morning, I said, what the hey? That is insanity. Isn't that crazy? Okay? Doesn't that make you want to do something about that? I can't imagine trying to live my life without clean water, or what my life would be like if I had to scrounge to make it clean, to find it, to get it, to make it clean. So we truly are living in a very blessed situation here in these United States. We got our problems. We understand that. We know there's a lot that needs to be done. And the truth of the matter is, we've never been more equipped to do it. So I want to share with you today just a few words. Where did I get to? Yeah. This is Ernest Holmes' message, Thanksgiving message. And I tried to find out when he wrote this. And I wasn't able to get a date, but it was emailed to me or came to me through someone else, and I'm gonna check later on. They live on the West Coast, so I don't think they would have been up by the time I was ratting around and fooling with this morning. But I'm gonna see when he wrote this, because it amazes me how something that was written 50 or 60 or 70 years ago can be so truly pertinent to our lives and our times today. Some things just don't change. So this is entitled Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, our day of praise, and it's by Ernest Holmes. And I just thought it was really sweet, and I want to share it with you. Here's Ernie. If you love dogs and children, you have studied their reactions to those around them, and you realize how important a little praise can be. Perhaps someone may say, this is truly true, certainly true of children. They do love to be praised. They love to feel that they are important in the family life. But dogs also have a language of their own. When you talk to them and tell them how wonderful they are and look deep into their eyes, their tails wag, they kind of smile back at you as they lick your hand. Dogs and children are not so far apart, after all. Dogs and children know if you inwardly disapprove of them, whether or not you say anything. They reach out with a feeling toward you, and if that feeling is rebuffed, they are unhappy. We are all children, just children of larger growth and a little more experience. Just children wanting to be loved, wanting to sing our little song and dance our little dance. We all like to strut our stuff and play the game of life with joy. Of course, we also want to be adults. We don't want to be too foolish. But there is such a thing as the game of life, and there must be a way to play it so that when we go to bed at night, we won't carry too much of the hurt of the day into a restless sleep, so that when we wake in the morning, we will anticipate something that promises to be wonderful and exhilarating. This is the way we are made, and God never makes mistakes. There is nothing wrong with this thing called life, because whatever seems wrong with it is in the way we are living it, and not in life itself. If we are not getting the most out of life, it must be because we are not putting the most into it. Thanksgiving is more than a day to serve turkey and dressing and eat brown gravy with mashed potatoes. It really means that we should be grateful for life, that we should praise the giver of all good, that we should gratefully acknowledge the priceless heritage of a free and noble people. But how much time do we spend in affirming the good things of life and recognizing that which is best in ourselves and others? In the exaltation of this spirit, the psalmist exclaimed, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless the Lord's holy name." Mrs. Luther Burbank once told me that her husband used to talk to his plants and tell them exactly what he planted them to do. A friend of mine talks to animals just as surely as you and I talk with each other. And just so surely do they respond. There is a principle here. If plants and animals and children respond to praise, why wouldn't everything else? We want to find something in people and situations that will respond to us with joy and vitality. Suppose that we're there all the time, and our lack of acknowledgement merely obscures it. We would have to start with the simple proposition that there is something good at the center of everything, that everything would be all right with our world if we could approach it in the right way, if we could meet people and situations in the right way, if we could get rid of all fear and sham and pretense, all of this false front we put up, and discover something real and genuine, something happy and whole at the center of everything. There is a divine presence at the center of things which responds to us, and it ought to be so real that we feel it everywhere, in everyone, and in every situation. Our starting point is to believe this, not as a theory or as an idle dream, but as somehow to be recognized and entered into right here and right now. Jesus recognized God as the supreme presence in the universe, not only outside of people, but within them. He approached life and people as though this were true. And because he did, his life was a miracle. Everything he touched sprang into a newness of being. He didn't condemn the few loaves and fishes that the little child brought to him, but looking to heaven, he gave thanks for its increase. Are you and I giving thanks and praising the increase? Are we gratefully acknowledging the good we wish to experience, or do we condemn the little things in our lives so that they cannot multiply in our hands? After all, it is really the little things that count. Just as minutes run into hours, hours into days, days into years, and years fill up our lives, so it is that the little things that transpire from moment to moment actually decide what our lives are to be and are to become. Recently, I read of an experiment two people made with a couple of rose bushes. Each day, they blessed and praised one of the bushes, specializing on it alone, and in a few months, the rose bush that was blessed daily responded with a lavish blossoming that far exceeded that of the other one. Suppose we apply this principle to everything that we are doing, to people, to situations, and to our daily living, taking as our central thought that the divine presence is in everything and responds to us through everything. It is really a wonderful thing to thank God at each mealtime for the blessing of food. It is wonderful to bless each other for our friendship. It will perform a miracle in your life if you consciously bless every situation you find yourself in. Take time each day to say, I bless every member of my family. I bless my spouse. I praise my children. I bless everything that they are doing. Yes, everything. Bless the gifts you make to people. Bless the friends you have. And above everything else, don't forget to pray the prayer of blessing for great and wonderful country that you live in. Bless your leaders. Bless everyone in places of public responsibility. My side note, they need it. If you are in business, bless your business. Bless the customers that come in, and bless the goods that go out. Bless everyone working with you or around you. And don't forget to bless your own effort, that it will prosper and multiply and increase and return to you 100-fold. You are proceeding on the proposition that there is a divine presence in everything and everyone, and a divine law of good running through everything. Your recognition of this law, your acceptance of it, your prayer of affirmation about it, causes this presence to respond to you in a new way. It rises to meet your expectation, to meet your faith, your conviction, and your acceptance. In doing this, don't pay too much attention to negative situations. In other words, try to bring a positive affirmation to bear on everything that seems negative. You will soon find that the negative things will tend to disappear and the positive will take their place. This will have a very interesting effect on you personally. You will find a new lightness coming into your step, a new sense of joy into your mind, and a growing, deeper, and abiding conviction that God really is in God's heaven, and that God's heaven is wherever we happen to be. Here is one more thought I would like to add. Try to give thanks for even those things that you do not see. The Bible says, blessed are they who, not having seen, still believe. In other words, when Jesus blessed the loaves and fishes, he was blessing the increase that he knew God would provide. And his faith and expectancy reached out to the law of good in such a way that there was an immediate manifestation of more. Jesus hadn't seen all the loaves and fishes that were needed to feed the multitude, but he blessed this invisible substance. He gave thanks for this increase. And we must do this also, because God never lets anyone down. Particularly try to bless yourself. Bless your hopes, bless your aims, bless your aspirations. Bless the faith that is in you, and it will grow. It will bloom like the rose bush. Bless the unused talents that you possess and new ways of doing things that will come into your experience. There is no way that God can work for us other than by working through us. And if we reject the gift of life, if we refuse to accept it, how can we ever hope to hold it in our hands? Be sure that we don't make a drudgery of this. Let it be a song of praise, a joy and blessing, a gladness in giving, just as spontaneous as was the faith of the little child who brought those few loaves and fishes and placed them in the loving hands of the Master. Isn't it wonderful that out of all that vast throng of people, those who needed to be fed, the doctors of wisdom, of law who stood around, those who thought they knew all the answers, and even Jesus' immediate disciples, the only person in that great congregation who really entered into the spirit of what Jesus was doing was a little child. Jesus and that little child were the only two in that gathering who didn't know that it couldn't be done. And Jesus apparently wanted the cooperation of someone who did know that it could be done, just as he knew. I love to think of that little child, his eyes bright with enthusiasm, her little feet digging their toes into the dirt, and the hand of expectancy outstretched, willing and glad to surrender his morsel, and without the slightest question in her mind about the increase. She just gave. She didn't think about the outcome. Let's you and I see if we cannot become as little children. It is natural for us to believe. It is natural for us to dance with joy and enter into the rhythm of life with happiness. And it is natural for us to expect the miracle of love to perform its act of kindness. We are either talking about the greatest thing in life, or else we are following a forlorn hope that could lead only to despair. There is we may be certain that we are talking about the greatest thing in life. There is an inner presence that responds to us. There is a law of good that works through us and for us. There is a power of right that can rearrange all circumstances if we believe that it can. Suppose we try this week to discard our negative approaches to people, to circumstances, and for every condemnation, let us find something to praise. For every doubt, let us find faith. For every fear, let's claim a new hope. Let's see if we can't sing our song of praise and thanksgiving. I know that if we practice this for the next few days, a new flavor will come into our living. And when we gather Wednesday night around that festive board, we will be able to say with the psalmist, "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless the Lord's holy name." There is a key to right living, a golden key to happiness and success. This key is prayer. It is affirmative prayer. Prayer is our direct line of communication with God. It is through this communion that we clear the mind of negative thought, that we let go of doubt and fear. This we must do if we are to become aware of the presence of God, not only within, but all around us. Let us then take this thought as our prayer for today. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless the Lord's holy name. And so you will notice in the seat backs on the seats around you, there's a prayer. It's a Thanksgiving prayer. And so we're going to say this out loud together. So find yourself a copy of this. There you go. We're going to say this out loud together. This is Earnest's Thanksgiving prayer. So let's enjoy it together. So here we go. I now acknowledge God, the divine Spirit, as a living presence in everything and in everyone. I bless everyone I meet. I praise everything I do. I acknowledge God's abundance, the outpouring of the Spirit, the manifestation of life everywhere. I bless my family. I praise my friends. I rejoice in the activities of my life. I know that love does not condemn and life does not destroy. I sincerely desire that every thought of my mind and every impulse of my whole being will be constructive and life-giving and will radiate that which I now believe and accept to be at the center of my being, the light that lights every individual's pathway. I bless the small things in my life that they may multiply and become great. I bless everything that seems little, that it will increase. I bless that which is good, and I desire that good alone will reach out from me to meet the need in everyone, in love, in joy, and with thanksgiving. And so it is. Isn't that sweet? That's Earnest. So as you go from this place this week, put Wednesday night in your calendar. Plan to come and imbibe and enjoy with us. And let's celebrate the spirit of thanksgiving and wholeness together as a community Wednesday evening. It's time to give thanks. As you step into your spiritual practice this week, I challenge you, take that prayer and don't just say it. Stand up. Stand on top of something. Make yourself tall. Say it with your body. Say it with your words. Say it until your cats are so scared they run from the room. Say it until your dogs are so excited they bark back at you. They know what you're saying. They heard the word. They got the message. They feel the truth. So let's live with them like the cat and the dog. Let's live in that spirit of thank you, God, for the good that's present in every little iota of this world. I love you. Namaste.